Creating impactful and lasting change is a mission, a vision, and a movement. Welcome to Nonprofit Voices of Impact, the show that will delve into the heart of the nonprofit world, showcasing the leaders and change makers who are driving meaningful transformation in our community. Through engaging interviews, real-life success stories, and valuable insights, this podcast highlights the passion, innovation, and dedication that fuels nonprofits across Westchester County. Whether you're a nonprofit leader or advocate, Nonprofit Voices of Impact empowers you with the knowledge and inspiration to make a powerful difference. I'm your host, Dr. Marsha Gordon, President and CEO of the Business Council of Westchester, and I'm joined by my co-host, Linda Tyler, Vice President of Membership and Programs, Business Council of Westchester. Nonprofit Voices of Impact is sponsored by NewYork-Presbyterian and PCSB Bank. Thank you for your support of the BCW Podcast Network. We have an amazing episode for you today featuring two inspiring and powerful leaders in our community, Ellen Bloom, Director of Community Affairs for NewYork-Presbyterian, and Sam Wallis, Executive Director of Yonkers Partners in Education.
Before we jump in, Ellen, thank you for your support of Nonprofit Voices of Impact. We're so excited to have both you and Sam here with us today. Sam, YPI, Yonkers Partners in Education, is renowned. You do incredible work for Yonkers and the Westchester County community. Will you tell us a little bit more about YPI and the work you're doing?
Sure. First of all, thank you for having me, and Ellen, good to see you, of course. YPI, Yonkers Partners in Education, is really focused on one thing. We want to make economic opportunity available to the young people in Yonkers. And a city like Yonkers that in many ways resembles cities all across the country that struggle with urban poverty, with lack of opportunity, there's such great talent there. And so we like working with the BCW to think about how can our young people get the education they need to get opportunity and see upward mobility for them and their families.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Ellen, NewYork-Presbyterian Hospital, again, renowned. Please tell us about the work that you're doing and what you want to highlight a little bit more today.
Well, thank you, Linda. It's great to be here, and it is my pleasure to talk about what we do in Westchester County. Westchester County is extremely important to NewYork-Presbyterian. The investment that the hospital has made in Westchester to improve access to excellent health care has been phenomenal. Just recently, an almost $500 million investment in NewYork-Presbyterian, The One, which is our new campus that's opening up in September of 2025, where it will be a center of excellence, bringing Columbia doctors, accessibility, and one-stop shopping to Westchester County. We know there are needs for special care, such as women's health, men's health, children's health, all in one site. So the goal for NewYork-Presbyterian, The One, is one-stop shopping. You'll be able to call, get an appointment for all of your physical exams. They'll also be doing ambulatory surgery at the site, as well as infusion, physical therapy, and there are many, many more advancements coming. And right down the street, it's located at 1111 Westchester Avenue.
And top-notch doctors, of course, and nurses. Thank you. Yonkers Partners in Education uses data as a foundational tool to drive its mission of increasing college readiness and success for students in Yonkers. Sam, can you tell us and share how YPI uses the data not just for internal improvement, but to stay accountable to and transparent with the community you serve?
And I'd love to hear some stories about success at YPI, because I know students whose lives have been transformed by the work that YPI does.
Absolutely. Impact is about both. It's about data and it's about being able to tell those stories. And we have a really unique relationship with the Yonkers Public Schools in that we're able to see how students are doing in schools. We can review their grades, we can intervene when necessary, and impact really means saying if a student works with us, they will have a better outcome than if they did not. And I really like looking in the eyes of family members and saying, you're going to have to work really hard for us, but in the end, you will get a degree from college and get a job that will pay you more than if you did not. And so that's really what impact is all about. And I can give you just one example of a student right now who we start with students in 9th grade. They're 14 years old. They're young. They are sweaty. They are insecure. And we're looking for students who have something in them. They might not have the best grades right now, but they have something in them. And this young lady that I remember worked her tail off for 4 years in high school. She went away to school. She worked with our staff to get a full ride to Trinity College in Connecticut. And now she's working at actually a BCW partner. She had trained in applied chemistry and now is building the next generation of adhesives that will be used for all types of practical applications, cars and the like. She came from a first-generation family, and now she has a great job working in a lab, doing science in real life. And that's what this is all about, is she can provide for her family now. And her life is fundamentally different because of that.
That's lasting impact.
And I know, and I'm kind of saying this to both of you, I know that donors look for impact status. But what do you think should donors and supporters like NYP keep in mind when they're reviewing impact status?
Well, one of the things that's very important to New York-Presbyterian is a study that we do every 3 years. It's required by the state, and we're in the midst of a new one right now as I speak. But the Community Health Needs Assessment is the survey that we do of all communities, of our community partners, of people that reside in Westchester County, to find out what are their needs. So in terms of determining where New York-Presbyterian looks to fund, it really is a compilation of what are the results of that study. And what that study told us is that there are specific needs in, our focus was Peekskill, Mount Vernon, and Yonkers. And what we recognize is that we need to, when it comes to YPI, we need to start helping to inspire young people to seek jobs in healthcare. That's very important to NYP. We are looking at a future generation. There will be an abundance of jobs. We're in an aging population, so we really need to work closely with young people. So YPI came to the top of our list when it came to funding in terms of getting involved with an organization that works so hard with students. And fun fact, I did graduate from the Yonkers public school system. So meeting Sam and hearing more about what he's doing in Yonkers was really, really important. And I was so pleased in my role to be able to highlight his work in the community. But those are the things that we look at. We look at disparities. We look at homelessness, food insecurity, and also, of course, diseases.
So important. And Sam, from your point of view, what does impact mean to you when it comes to nonprofit work? Where the title of our show is Nonprofit Voices of Impact. So how do you ensure that YPI stays focused on that impact?
This is something I am deeply passionate about, and I could talk forever about this, because I think what we see is a lot of good stuff going on, and I call it stuff in the community because not-for-profits often put the solution before they identify what the real problem they're trying to solve is. And so impact for me is about being really clear about what's the problem you're trying to solve, and then making sure your solutions are aligned to that. So I'll give you an example. We really wanted to see college graduation numbers increase in Yonkers. It was really low. It was less than 25% in an economy that requires 60% of people to have a bachelor's degree. So the only way I can measure impact is if that number goes up, period. And a lot of organizations don't think about impact in terms of what's the problem you're actually trying to solve, and instead say, why don't we try this creative project? Why don't we try this creative thing, without quite identifying what the problem is.
And I think that's so true. Data is critical for any business or any organization because it helps you with making future decisions, right? It tells you what's working and what's not. So this is also a great story in general about the power of data and how you can use it to grow and make what you're doing even better.
And I'll just add, NYP has been an amazing supporter in thinking this through, because when we went to NYP, we said, I am tired of seeing my engineering graduate students working at a checkout line and not being able to reap the rewards of their education. And so NYP said, okay, that's a problem. We need to make sure more kids from this background are actually using the degrees and the level of education and certifications they have. And so NYP is supporting us to help those students find jobs in all types of fields, but we know many will go into healthcare. And we identified a problem with them, and they helped us come up with a solution.
Well, we love that. And on Nonprofit Voices of Impact on this podcast, we thrill in showcasing these partnerships. And I think this is one of the very best partnerships I've ever seen between NYP and YPI. We're going to take a break here, and we look forward to hearing from both Ellen Bloom from NYP and Sam Wallis from YPI after this short break. You're listening to the BCW Podcast Network, Nonprofit Voices of Impact. Take your organization far with the power of local banking. PCSB Bank's array of services, customized solutions, and local financing decisions mean you have a powerful commercial bank nearby when you need them. Voted best in business banking for 2 years in a row by 914 Inc., PCSB Bank's commitment to serving consumers, businesses, and nonprofits in the community is unparalleled. Stop by one of their 14 branches located throughout Westchester, Putnam, Dutchess, and Rockland counties, or call 888-808-4700 to learn more. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender. New York Presbyterian has 3 campus locations in Westchester. New York Presbyterian Westchester in Bronxville, New York Presbyterian Hudson Valley Hospital in Cortlandt Manor, and New York Presbyterian Westchester Behavioral Health in White Plains, and a new state-of-the-art facility opening in 2025 at 1111 Westchester Avenue in White Plains. Known as New York Presbyterian The One, this center of excellence will improve access to medical care by offering a wide range of adult and pediatric specialty care, all under one roof, delivered by exceptional teams led by trusted Columbia doctors. NYP The One will include centers of excellence in cardiovascular and neurosensory treatment, men's health, women's health, pediatric health, and a cancer center satellite.
We are back on the BCW Podcast Network. Today, we have the pleasure of speaking with Ellen Bloom, Director of Community Affairs for NewYork-Presbyterian, and Sam Wallis, Executive Director of Yonkers Partners in Education, diving into the incredible work their organizations are doing and the broader impact of nonprofit leadership in our communities. And beyond healthcare, NYP is such a champion of nonprofit work. Why is it important to NYP to support nonprofits, particularly with your significant gift to YPI?
Well, NYP has been responding to the challenges that community-based organizations are facing, particularly now. Over the past few years, we were privileged to give out over $1.5 million in Westchester County alone to help community-based organizations.
Wow. $1.5 million. That's incredible.
Yeah. It's really a privilege. And the really exciting part of it is that I get to meet, and we get to meet, the community organizations that are doing the great work. So extends care beyond the walls of New York Presbyterian into the community. For example, we are funders of the STEM Alliance, which is located in Larchmont. We are funding their program to help underserved and underemployed individuals learn digital technology to make them more eligible for employment. We also funded them to do digital technology for older adults. That became very apparent, particularly during COVID, when older adults were not able to access telehealth, didn't understand it. So that really became a huge mission of New York Presbyterian. And food insecurity. We are funders of Caring for the Hungry and Homeless of Peekskill, making sure that their programs and their food reach people throughout the community. They are the only homeless organization above 287. And we are funding a Latinx program that helps underserved, mostly women who are on the verge of losing their homes in Peekskill. And we not only help them access services, also give them the funds they need so that they don't become unhoused. We are particularly proud of the work that we do throughout Westchester County, and we only see that continuing because the needs are ever expanding.
And Sam, as a nonprofit working with other nonprofits in this community, how does this all tie together to work with the students that you serve at YPI, Yonkers Partners in Education?
So it's interesting that NYP's new facility is called The One, because in many ways they sort of are the one-stop shop for not-for-profits already. And so here is an example. So listen, I'm the executive director of a not-for-profit. We're always looking for funds, and NYP provides that. But beyond that, they send in to meet with our students and to coach our students around careers in the healthcare field. If I ask a young person, what do you want to do with your lives? 75% will tell me they want to make a difference, help people, and mostly go into healthcare. What they don't realize is you don't only have to be a doctor to do that. Mm-hmm. And that's what the NYP folks have come. They've sent us nurses. They've sent us chefs from the hospital to say, you can help that. They've sent us security teams. They've sent us so students can see you can be part of the healthcare field in so many different ways, and they're always willing to send us nurses and doctors and lawyers and whoever that they can wrangle to come and talk to our students. That's kind of the one-stop shop there.
That's really, really telling. And, I know that, the hospital system, especially like NYP, is kind of a microcosm of every position, of every career that you could have. There are people in finance, there are people in government affairs, there are people in administration, there are people that are in maintenance, very, very important, and in culinary. And it's really, really amazing. And you do it so very, very well at NYP. So I could see how, since you do everything so great at YPI to help your students, Sam, I could see the synergistic relationship here and how you work together. Ellen, as a sponsor of this podcast, why do you see the impact of the nonprofit community as being so important for NYP to partner with so many organizations to support health and wellness in the region?
Well, we feel a huge responsibility to the community to get beyond our walls, to make sure that the community is being served to the best level of care. And by being able to sponsor helps us to do that, but also each of our campuses, and we have 3 campuses, NewYork-Presbyterian Hudson Valley Hospital, NewYork-Presbyterian, what used to be called Lawrence Hospital is now called NewYork-Presbyterian Westchester in Bronxville. Those are 2 acute care facilities, and we also have NewYork-Presbyterian Westchester Behavioral Health, which is located in White Plains, which is a #1 mental health caregiver throughout the nation. They have national recognition for the services that they provide, which include men's health, women's health, and they serve adolescents. They have an autism program. There is a wealth of program services that are inpatient and outpatient at that campus. They're also in the process of expanding their adolescent program to really accommodate the growing numbers of young adults who really need mental health services and supports, and their families as well.
So this is all so very important. I'm going to save the best for last after the break, where we want to learn more about the One, and we want to learn more about YPI and what's coming next for YPI. But we are going to take a break to listen to our sponsors, New York Presbyterian and PCSB Bank. You're listening to the BCW Podcast Network, hosted by myself, Marsha Gordon, and Linda Tyler of the Business Council of Westchester. We'll be right back. New York Presbyterian has 3 campus locations in Westchester: New York Presbyterian Westchester in Bronxville, New York Presbyterian Hudson Valley Hospital in Cortlandt Manor, and New York Presbyterian Westchester Behavioral Health in White Plains, and a new state-of-the-art facility opening in 2025 at 1111 Westchester Avenue in White Plains. Known as New York Presbyterian The One, this center of excellence will improve access to medical care by offering a wide range of adult and pediatric specialty care, all under one roof, delivered by exceptional teams led by trusted Columbia doctors. NYP The One will include centers of excellence in cardiovascular and neurosensory treatment, men's health, women's health, pediatric health, and a cancer center satellite. Take your organization far with the power of local banking. PCSB Bank's array of services, customized solutions, and local financing decisions mean you have a powerful commercial bank nearby when you need them. Voted best in business banking for 2 years in a row by 914 Inc., PCSB Bank's commitment to serving consumers, businesses, and nonprofits in the community is unparalleled. Stop by one of their 14 branches located throughout Westchester, Putnam, Dutchess, and Rockland counties, or call 888-808-4700 to learn more. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Welcome back to the BCW Podcast Network. This is Nonprofit Voices of Impact. Ellen, Sam, Marsha, and I have been having a great conversation about the power of education, healthcare, and community partnerships to drive real impact.
So, Sam, I really want to focus a little bit on Yonkers Partners in Education and how the whole system works, because it's an amazing system. And I've seen students and I've seen people go through the system. So can you describe to me how students get involved with YPI?
Sure. So we work with about 2,000 students in Yonkers, and we're embedded in the 10 high schools. Most people don't realize how big Yonkers is. 10 high schools. Yeah. And we start with them in ninth grade because we know that if they're going to be ready for the next step after high school, they have to start early. And so students start meeting with us. They are paired with a volunteer. And at this point, we have one of the largest volunteer pools in Westchester.
Yeah, how many volunteers do you have?
It's over 230 now who make a multi-year commitment to young people. We're not talking about, drop in for a day. We're talking about these folks.
Real work.
Exactly. Over they meet with students twice a month and more. Very often, students are texting them, probably too late at night, asking for guidance. And it's really to wrap students in a web of support. And we'll stay with students until they graduate from college. So we have a team that will take them all the way up through college. We work with many of the local universities here, the SUNY system and the CUNY system. We send a lot of students to Mercy University. At PACE, we send some students to. Marsha, yes. I know your connection there. But we want to make sure that students have access to that and not only get in, but complete their degrees.
Very, very important. So for somebody to be a volunteer, what types of work do they do? These 230 volunteers that you have.
So there's a few main ways. One is if you just want to be kind of a mentor, we'll pair you with a student and you'll take them through high school, and they will be able to.
Do you provide the training and everything?
Yes. We do training. We provide a sort of a manual of, here, on your first meeting, you can talk to them about this, on your second meeting and this. That's one way. The second way is we, like I said, do a big push to get students through the college application process. And so they can help students write their college essay, which might seem minor, but in light of it sort of has become the key as SAT scores have changed, as affirmative action has changed. That essay is key. So if someone can help a student tell a great story about themselves, it's really impactful. And the third way is the newest thing we're doing with NYP. If somebody would like to provide career guidance to our students, that would be, they could volunteer to be paired with a student in junior or senior year of college. And I'll tell you, we did this recently.
Because that's a recent. Yeah.
It is recent, and this came about because I was actually at Home Depot, and one of my students who had a degree in computer science was doing checkout. Now, he helped me, I don't know if I could say this, he helped me get a discount, so it was great, but he could be making a lot more money as an engineer. Mm-hmm. And so I called up one of our volunteers and said, hey, you're in the engineering world. I don't think he quite knows where to start to get a job in that field. And now he's working for an architecture firm because of that.
That's great.
A firm I had never heard of. And it had not been for that volunteer knowing and being able to make that connection, it never would have happened. And so that's a program that NYP is funding so that we can bring in more of these professionals to connect our students.
And I know you also have a very special relationship with another corporation in our community.
Yes, Regeneron has been an amazing supporter of ours. They sponsor a program to get more students into science and STEM fields. And what we found was that young people, students of color, were not, when they got to college, all of their peers from Westchester, from Scarsdale, from Briarcliff, where I'm from Ossining, had done all this research and, had cured cancer. And now our students have the skills but don't have that background. And so what Regeneron helped us do is start students. So over their 4 years of high school, they're finding a research lab and doing original research so that, and competing. And we just, for the first time, sent a student to the International Science and Engineering Festival, and that student competed with some of the best young scientists across the country. That student would have been a lost Einstein had it not been for this Regeneron program to give that opportunity.
We love this. Coming back to how we started in the title of this podcast, that is really impact. That's really impactful. So what's next for both your organizations? Ellen, let's talk a little bit more about the one.
Okay, well, thank you. We are so excited that on September 9th, 2025, New York-Presbyterian will be opening up on 1111 Westchester Avenue, New York-Presbyterian, the One. And this was designed to meet the growing needs of Westchester community. It is a multidisciplinary, state-of-the-art outpatient facility that will offer a wide range of adult and pediatric specialty services all under one roof, delivered by the care teams that we trust, Columbia doctors. That will be a center for a broad range of clinical services, including 5 centers of excellence: neurosciences, cardiovascular, men's health, women's health, and children's health, in addition to robust oncology services. And the Center of Excellence will include GI, dermatology, surgery, infusion, imaging, and rehab. So you will look for that on September 9th. I'm sure some of you have been seeing our commercials that are flooding the Westchester County.
And we see the sign along Westchester Avenue.
We are so excited. It's a huge investment that NYP is making in Westchester County. Westchester County is extremely important to the future of New York-Presbyterian.
Thank you for that, and we're excited to watch this unfold as these new announcements are coming out. And before we wrap, Sam, talk to us a little bit more about what's next for YPI. What's on the horizon?
Well, before I get to that, I just want to say I'm really excited about the One because I have a 1.5-year-old daughter who's in daycare, and when she gets sick, running around to different doctor's offices is a real pain. So in September, when daycare resumes and she's sick, I'm sure we'll be running around there.
You'll know which one to go to.
Exactly. But for YPI, the biggest push right now is making sure that we are getting students into the jobs that they that will provide for their families. So that's a big push, working with NYP on that. And we also recently had the opportunity to expand into Jersey City, New Jersey, a very similar type of city to Yonkers, and into Nashville, along with our partners at Regeneron.
That's
so
thrilling.
We're able to take this model that we know has shown impact and spread it to other areas that could really use it.
That's amazing, and it clearly shows that what you're doing is working and is having lifelong impact on families and students. So thank you for that. Thank you for the work you're doing.
So today we've had such a pleasure talking to Ellen Bloom, Director of Community Affairs for New York-Presbyterian, and Sam Wallis, Executive Director of Yonkers Partners in Education. You've both been so inspiring about your journey and the work YPI is doing, New York-Presbyterian is doing to change lives. It's been great having you on the BCW Podcast Network, Nonprofit Voices of Impact. So we thank you, and we thank our sponsors, New York-Presbyterian and PCSB Bank, and to our listeners.
Thanks so much.
Well, thank you both. And Sam, always great to see you.
Likewise. Thanks.
You were both terrific.
Be sure to check out the BCW Podcast Network's expansive lineup of shows: Leadership Unleashed, What's Trending, Advocacy and Politics Unplugged, The Member Spotlight, and Nonprofit Voices of Impact. The Business Council of Westchester is the county's largest business membership organization focusing on economic development and advocacy. With over 1,100 members, it is our mission to work for the profitability of our members and the prosperity of the Westchester community. To learn more, go to thebcw.org.